Hello friends, welcome to the 23rd session of Hybris tutorial. In this session, we will learn about the Hybris OCC. So we will learn what is Hybris OCC, where we use Hybris OCC, and how to create a new Hybris OCC web service from the very scratch. So we will learn all these concepts in this video. So guys, before starting anything, firstly let me explain you what is Hybris OCC. So this OCC means Omni Channel Connect. So Hybris OCC is basically a REST API. So if I can just write a definition of Hybris OCC. So Hybris OCC, which is Omni Channel Connect, is used to expose Hybris functionality as stateless API. Mostly we use Hybris functionality to be exposed as stateless API, but sometimes like in the cart functionality, we expose it as a stateful API. Okay, so it gives a power to platform to make it omni-channel. Okay, and with this, you can expose and connect Hybris API to external applications like native app, etc. with minimum customizations. Okay, so it exposes core functionalities, core business logic, and data, allowing the integration with other systems, mainly mobile and front-end applications, and of course using the REST web services. Okay, so guys, I think now you should have a blur idea of what Hybris OCC is. So if I can just explain you, for example, if I have one API in Hybris, which is say get product details, right? So this API, what it does, so it gives me the product detail based on a product ID, right? So this is one API. If I have to use this API, or I have to expose this API to a third party or to a mobile application, right? So how I do? So I just expose this API as a OCC web service, and then this mobile application or any other application, native application, this just connect with this API. This API, get product detail API, through a OCC web service, because we expose this API as a web service. So this connect with this get product details, and it fetches the, or it gets the data from this API get product details, and this application use this data as per its requirement. So if I can show you one example of OCC web service, then I think the concept should be more clear to you. If I can just search a string API operation in our code, so if I go inside this and if I just open this customer controller, So guys, this is an example of OCC web service. Here we use some specific tags that I will be explaining you in this video only. But using these tags and using these configurations, we create this controller as a web service, OCC web service. And for example, this is the API get pageable customer. This is the API which we have exposed as a OCC web service. Right, so this is an example of OCC web service. I hope this is clear to you, right? So basically, OCC web service is used to expose some functional APIs, some APIs to a mobile application or any native application. And guys, we can add the security as well. So basically, this is a REST call, but we do have to do some authentication to access this. Access this OCC web service. So I hope now the concept is clear to you. What is OCC web service and how a OCC web service looks like. Don't worry about these syntaxes. I will be explaining you all these syntaxes in the upcoming portion of this video. And guys, just keep one more point in mind. This OCC web service may connect an external CMS mobile app, as I have already told, point of sale terminals, consoles, digital ad, touch services, social networks, call centers, or any other system with e-commerce capabilities. So it means the scope of OCC web service use is very wide, right? So even it allows the scenarios like live stream, shop as you wish, TV mobile checkout, all these things can be covered in the OCC web service. Okay, so I hope now OCC web service concept is clear to you. So now I will be covering up easy OCC steps, setup steps, and some OAuth 2.0 configurations which is used in Hybris. So basically this OAuth 2.0 is basically for the security purpose. We provide some time of authorizations, some type of authorization so that our web service is exposed in a secure way, right? So now how we can create such type of OCC web service that I will be explaining you. I will be basically taking an example, and based on that we will be creating a OCC web service from the scratch. One example which is already built, I have already shown you. You can go through this example and you can see how this is developed. But we will be creating a new web service, new OCC web service from the very scratch. So firstly, I will write some steps, native steps, how we will be creating this OCC web service. Then we will go into more detail into those steps, right? So for example, my requirement is I need to create a OCC web service, okay, which will give me all the say I do have one store, Hybris Tube store, okay, which give me all the Hybris Tube store details based on the store ID. Okay, so it means I will be creating a web service. Okay, and in that web service, I will be exposing one API. And when I will be exposing one API, through that API, I will be getting the details of a Hybris Tube store, right, based on the store ID. Now, the question will be how I will be creating this Hybris Tube store, because of course, this Hybris Tube store, this type of object is not present in our Hybris database. If you search in the flexible search, select star from Hybris Tube store, this is not present in our Hybris database currently. So from where this Hybris Tube store will come? So of course, firstly, we will be generating or creating a new item type. of Hybris Tube store. So I will be basically creating everything from the scratch. So I will be firstly creating a new item type with the name Hybris Tube store, and inside that item type I will be inserting some data, and then this what OCC web service will do, it will be basically giving me the details of a particular store based on a store ID. So I will give the input as a store ID, and in the output I will be getting the Hybris Tube store details, right? So what I will be firstly doing, I will be basically firstly creating this Hybris Tube store item type, right? So I will be basically creating this Hybris Tube store item type. Okay. In that I will be mentioning some attributes like store ID, store name, store owner. I will be giving some attributes that I will be showing you as well. So this is the first step I will be doing. Then what I will do, I will be basically firstly creating a new extension, right? XYZ. I will be giving its name later on. I will be creating a new extension using the template y-commerce web service. And guys, this is the thing you need to know. Always when you have to create a new OCC web service, you need to create a new extension which is based on the y-commerce web services extension. If you already have that extension which is based on this template y-commerce web services, then you can use that. But if your project is not already using this OCC web service, then you have to create a new extension which is based on this y-commerce web services template. So I will be creating a new extension with name XYZ, or I will be giving it some specific name when I will be creating this extension which is based on y-commerce web services. And I hope you already know how to create an extension, right, using ant extgen command. If you don't know, you can check the video. The video link is given in the description box as well as in the top right corner in the card section. And similarly, as I told, OCC web services is Omni Channel Connect web service, right? If you don't know what is this Omni Channel, you can check my first video, first chapter of this Hybris Tube session or Hybris Tube learning. The link of video is given in the description box as well as on the top right corner in the card section. But for now, will be firstly creating this web service, right? So I will be firstly creating this extension, right, which is based on commerce web services template. Don't worry about this. I will be creating this as well, and I will be showing you how to create that extension if you already don't know. So now after implementation of these 2 points, now what we will do, we will be firstly creating an impl class DAO impl, which will be basically extending some DAO interface. Right inside that, I will be writing this get Hybris Tube store details by code. And here I will be writing some query which will be basically fetching the data from the database based on the store ID. Right now, this DAO impl will be called from a services class, and this service will be called from a facade, and this facade will be called from a controller, and this controller will be exposed as a OCC web service, right? And this controller will be called from some native application like a mobile application. So this is a very simple example of a OCC web service. Some native application or a mobile application will request for a store details, and it will be basically giving us as a store ID as input. So the request will come to controller, and then controller will be calling the facade, facade will be calling services, services will call the DAO impl, and DAO impl will fire a query into the database, and it will return the data back to the native application through this flow only. So I hope now you understand how I will be writing my code flow. So this controller will be basically exposed as a OCC web service that I will tell you what all type of configurations we need to do to expose this controller as a OCC web service, right? Now I will be basically telling you the data object flow as well. So once I will fire the query in the DAO impl, right, into the database, at that time I will be getting an object. Of course, that object will be of type list, but I will be getting a getting an object which is of type model class, right? We already know whenever we fire a query to the database, we always get an object in return of type model object, right? So this model object will be returned to the services, and this service will return this model object to the facade, right? And from the facade layer, we will be basically creating a converter and populator mechanism, and through that converter and populator mechanism, we will convert this model into the data mechanism. We have already explained the converter and populator mechanism in our previous video. Link of the video is given in the description box as well as on the top right corner in the card section. So you can watch that video if you don't know the concept of converters and populators. So model will be converted into the data at the facade layer using converters and populators. So this data object will be now passed to the controller. And don't worry if you still don't understand this model and data objects, I will be showing you as well in this video only. So now this data object will be passed to the controller, and guys, in this controller, this data object will be converted into the WSDTO object, right? Web Service DTO object. And this WSDTO object will be basically passed to the native application, right? So I hope now you understand what all data conversions happen in this flow, in the OCC flow. We do have model object which we receive when we fire the query to the database. We get the data in the form of model object, and at the facade layer, using converters and populators, we convert the model object into the data object, and in the controller layer, we convert this data object into the WSDTO object, right? So this is also a simple, we will be creating a Pojo class, and we will be basically, converting this data object into that WSDTO, but WSDTO will also be a Pojo class, right? So then this will be converted into the, WSDTO will be sent to the native application, right? So this is the data flow, we will be using in our OCC flow. So I think now the whole concept is clear to you how our OCC web service will be created. Now I will be writing some detailed steps, what all the steps will be included when we will be creating an OCC web service. I will be telling you what exactly is the name of this item type, what exactly will be the name of the extension which are going to create, and what is the DAO impl class name. We will be firstly, deciding all these class names and everything firstly, and then based on that, we will be writing our web service, right? Our OCC web service from the very scratch. So these steps should be, and guys, just one more thing, we do have already some created OCC web service. For example, I already shown you this example customer controller. This is already exposed as a web service, right? And this web service always have some note section, right? Similarly, it always have some this section API returns customer based on query parameter. So basically, this is the name of this OCC web service, right? So with like this only, we do have multiple other OCC web services which are already inbuilt, which are provided by the Hybris out of box. You can directly use them, right? So I will be basically telling you what all the web services we already have. So this is the list of all the OCC web services we do have. We can get the card details, we can get the, I mean, details of the current cart we do have in our session. All these web services are we already have in our system, right? So you can directly use these OCC web services directly without any customization because these web services are already exposed and activated, right? Now I will be telling you what all steps we will be, using to create a new OCC web service from the very scratch. So I will be basically writing like steps to create a OCC web service, and I hope you already know the full form of OCC. It is Omni Channel Connect from scratch, right? So guys, these are the steps which we need to use to create an OCC web service. I will just zoom out the steps. So firstly, as I already told, firstly we need to, create a new extension, Hybris Tube Training Commerce Web Services. We will be creating this new extension, right? And by using ant extgen command and by using yCommerce web services, right? Template, and then we will be giving its entry into local extension.xml, right? So once you do the entry of this newly created extension, Hybris Tube Training Commerce Web Service into local extension.xml, guys, there will be already a entry present of yCommerce web service and yCommerce web service test. So you need to remove these entry of these two extensions from the local extension.xml. Otherwise, this will create a issue, right? So this is local extensions.xml, right? So you need to remove the entry of these two extensions in the local extension.xml, right? So after the creation of this new extension, Hybris Tube Training Commerce Web Service, we will be creating the new item type. As I already told, we will be creating a new item type, right? So that we can, create our new store. So we will be creating a new item type in this extension only in the item.xml file, and this file is present in the resources folder, and you already know how to create a new item type. I had created a separate video for the same. If you don't know how to create a new item type, you can watch my video. Link of video is given in the description box as well as on the top right corner in the card section. But we will be, if you still don't know, I will be creating a new item type. In this video only, you can check how to create a new item type. So I will be creating a new item type, and its name will be this Hybris Tube product store details. So once I will create the that item type, a new table will be created into the database, right, with this name Hybris Tube product store details, right? And then what I will be doing, I will be basically doing ant all. Why I will be doing ant all? These steps were already explained by me during item.xml tutorial, but still I will repeat why I am doing ant all, so that the corresponding model classes gets generated. So once you do the ant all, we will be getting a corresponding model class, and name will be Hybris to product store details model.java, right? So this is the use of entall. And once I do the entall, then I will bring my server up using the command hybris server dot bat command, and then I will perform the system update. And why I am performing the system update? So that the corresponding table also get generated into the database. Once you perform the system update, a table with name Hybris Tube product store details will get generated into the Hybris database. That is why I will be doing the system update, right? So I hope point B is clear to you why I am performing this step. I will be basically creating a new table into the database through this step, right? Now what I will be doing, firstly, I will be creating a new interface. As I already told, we will be creating a impl and which will be implementing one interface, right? In the impl, we will be creating a query, as I already told. So for that, we are creating firstly this interface, Hybris Tube Store DAO. In the training core extension only, we already have created this extension in our B2C accelerator setup. If you have not watched that video, you can check the video. Link of video is given in description as well as on top right corner. This is the second session we had taken, right? Second chapter. So in that we already created this training core, right, extension using the ent module gen command. But in the training core package for now, I will be creating this DAO interface inside this package de.hybris training core DAO. So this will be the new package I will be creating, right? Then I will be writing my impl.java class, right, which will be basically implementing this DAO interface, right? And this will be basically I will be creating in training core extension only inside the src folder. I will be creating this new package de hybris training core DAO impl, right? So basically here I will be creating an interface and I will be writing giving the definition or just defining one API. Then I will be implementing this interface, right? And then what I will be doing, I will be giving the entry of this tau in my training core spring.xml because I have to declare this as a bean, right? So this is why I have to give the entry of this class as a bean in training core spring.xml. Don't worry about these steps, I will be showing you as well. But for now, I just wanted to tell what all class name and what all entries I am going to do to create a new OCC web service from the very scratch, right? So after that, what I will be doing in the training core extension only, I will be creating a new service. Name will be Hybris Tube Store Services, right? And the package will be DE Hybris Training Core Services, right? And then again, I will be declaring this as a bean, this Hybris Tube Store Services as a bean in the spring.xml file. Again, as you already know, this file is present in the resources folder only inside the training core extension, right? Then what I will be doing, I have created the service layer till now, as I already shown you. We will be firstly creating DAO impl. We have created now DAO impl. I have already told you the steps to create a DAO impl. Then I have now created service. From the service, I will be creating facade, right? So this is the, facade layer which I will be basically creating. So you can see in the, facade layer in training facade beans.xml. Firstly, what I will be doing, I will be, creating that data object, right? So how I will be creating a data object? I will be creating data object through beans.xml. I will be giving entry into the beans.xml file in the training facade extension only, right? This I have already told you when we, created a video on converters and populator. The link of video is already given in description box as well as on the top right corner. But in training facade, I will be creating data object or a data class, and data class name will be Hybris Tube Store Data, right? So once I will be giving this entry into beans.xml, right? So after that, I will do entall. Why I will be doing entall? So that the corresponding .java, corresponding Hybris Tube store data .java class got created, right? After that, what I will be doing, I will be firstly creating a populator, and this should be the populator. Why I'm creating this populator? So that I can convert this model into this model object into this data object, right? So that is why I'm creating this populator, right? And this in this populator, the source will be, of course, this model, and the target will be, of course, this Hybris Tube store data, right? Then what I will be doing in the training facade only, I will be creating a Hybris Tube facade IMPL class dot Java class, right? Inside the new package, I will be creating this new package, and in that new package, I will be basically creating this facade IMPL, and in this facade IMPL only, I will be basically calling the service layer, and through the service layer, I will be getting the data into the in the form of model object, and through converters and populator, I will convert that data into the data object and will return back to the controller, right? So this is what I will be doing. So basically, this Hybris Tube store facade IMPL will be implementing this interface that I am going to create inside the new package de.hybris training facade.hybris tube store, right? After that, I have to give the entry of this facade IMPL. I have to declare it as a bean, right? So that I can use this. So how I will be doing? I will be giving the entry of this facade, converters and populators. I will be giving the entry of all these into the facade spring.xml in training facade extension only, right? So this is the work till now we have done. Till now we have created the flow till facade layer. Now we are coming to the controller, which we will be basically declaring as a OCC web service, right? So there are some additional steps if we have to declare a controller as a OCC web service. So how we will be going to do, as I already told, till the facade we do have object in the form of data. Now at the controller, we convert this data into WSDTO, right? So firstly, I will be defining this WSDTO object. How I will be, doing that? So for that, I will be giving a mapping or an entry into Hybris Tube Commerce Web Services new extension which we had created in the beans.xml file which is present in the resources folder. I will be writing or defining the structure of Hybris Tube store data WSDTO, right? So it is very much similar, like we created a data object into the beans.xml. Similarly, we will be declaring this WSDTO into this services beans.xml, right? Here I will be basically defining the structure of WSDTO and Hybris Tube store data list WSDTO of type Hybris Tube store data WSDTO. I will be creating one list as well, right? And again one list Hybris Tube store data list, which is basically of type Hybris Tube store data, right? Hybris Tube store data. So I will be basically creating a three list. One is three things. One is basically I will be declaring WSDTO. Second, a list of type WSDTO, a list of the type WSDTO. Third is a list of type store data or a type data object. Now, using these two lists, one is of type WSDTO, one is of type data. Using these two lists, I will be doing the conversion from data to WSDTO, right? So this is how we will be doing. Then I will be creating a controller which will be basically extending the base commerce controller. Every time if you declare an controller as a OCC web service, you have to extend that controller with the base commerce controller, and in that I will be injecting the facade so that I can call the facade layer from the controller, right? And in the controller only, I will be writing this API get Hybris Tube store details. That API I will be basically exposed to the native applications like mobile application. And guys, this is very important point. In the extension.xml, I have to give the mapping of training facade. If I am not giving this mapping into training facade, then basically this training facade object I will not be able to get into the web service extension, this Hybris Tube Training Commerce web service extension. I have to give this entry into extension.xml file. Something like this, right? So this is how, but now I have to do this conversion, right? I have to do this conversion from data to WSDTO. So how I will be doing that conversion? I will be doing that conversion in this file only, DTO mapping v2 spring.xml file. I mean this file, if once you create this new extension, Hybris Tube Training Commerce Web Service extension, this file will be already there. You just have to give the mapping where you will be doing the conversion from data to WSDTO, right? Don't worry, I will be telling you how or what entry we need to do, but I'm just telling you the steps till now, like what all steps we need to follow, right? So then what I will be doing, I will be basically defining the scope of WSDTO object in the controller, right? And then I will be defining what attributes need to return if the scope is basic. So what this scope means, I will be basically defining three scopes, for example, basic, right, default, or a full, right? So there can be, multiple requirements. Like if I give the basic scope, then I will be returning this WSDTO object, but with some say three attributes only. But if I am saying default, then I will return WSDT object with four attributes, right? For example, store ID, store name, store owner, and some more, some other details like store address, right? But if I am, declaring this scope as a full, right, then I will be, sending more attributes. So this is what basically scope means. So firstly, I will be declaring the scope into the controller like basic, default, and full. Then I will be giving the definition of that scope into this, v2 spring.xml file only. And there I will be declaring, okay, if my scope is basic, then what attributes I need to return. If my scope is default, then what attributes I need to return. So this is the entry I will be giving into DTO level mapping v2 spring.xml, right? So this is how. And then I will be doing the authorization by providing a correct role to OAuth mechanism. Guys, so this is the basically authorization step. What I will be doing, we do have multiple groups, right? If I can show you like what all groups we do have. So basically, we will be using this group role trusted client. I will be basically creating a new user, right? Say I will be creating a user Hybris Tube, and I will be giving that role as role trusted client. I will be giving the role to Hybris Tube user as a role trusted client, right? And then whenever I will be hitting our API, which is written in the controller class, then firstly I have to do authorization, right? So I will be giving my credential like username is this and password is this. Then only I will be able to access the API which is written in the controller class. This API get Hybris Tube store details. Don't worry, I will be showing you that as well. Similarly, we do have other, role groups, right? The like this is the role group, role customer group. Similarly, we do have another which is role client group. We already have these, groups already present out of box in Hybris, right? And I will be, like I told, we will be entering username as Hybris Tube and password as Hybris Tube. I will be telling you we have to import one Impex to, use the OAuth 2.0 mechanism that I will be telling you how or what Impex we will be using. But guys, this is the, basic steps which we are going to do. So now we will be starting implementing these steps quickly. And firstly, the first step is I will be creating a new web service or a new extension, Hybris Tube Training Commerce Web Service, right? And how I will be doing, I will be firstly going to my folder structure. You can see over here, I already have this folder structure. I have already done the B2C accelerator setup. You should also have done these steps, or you should also have done this step by now, right? So I will go into Hybris, and then inside this, I will go into bin, and over here I will go into platform, and here I will be writing this CMD. Right now I will be basically firing this command and extgen to create a new extension, with this name Hybris Tube Commerce Web Services, right? So I will be basically, firing this extension and extgen. Firstly, I have to set the ent environment by using this command. And then what I will do, I will fire this ent extgen command, right? So you can see now I have fired this command. This will take some time. Then it will ask us to choose the template which I want to use. So let's wait for that. So you can see now it is asking me to choose the template. These are already provided templates which we do have. You will also get similar type of templates, right, when you fire the ent extgen command. So I will be basically choosing this template. So I will be basically choosing this y-commerce web services, right? So I will be choosing this template and then I will just basically press enter. Now it is basically asking me to give the name of the extension, and as you already know, we will be giving this name of our extension, right? So this is the name. Right now I will press enter. So now you can see I am creating a new extension which is based on y-commerce web service template. Now it is asking me to give the package name, and we already follow this package hierarchy in all our extensions. So I am giving this package name de.hybris.training. Now it is going to generate or create a new extension, which is basically the name is Hybris Tube Training Commerce Web Service, and it is based on the template Y Commerce Web Service. And this is the package structure we will be using, right? So you can see now new extension should have been created because the build is successful. Because if I go into Hybris bin custom, you can see over here on 16th of March a new extension has been created. Right now, as you already know, we have to do the entry of this extension into our local extension.xml, as we have already mentioned over here. So I will be giving its entry into our local extension.xml. So I will open the my local extension.xml. This is my local extension.xml. I will open this with Notepad++, and then what I will do, I will be giving the entry. So how I will be giving its entry, okay, I will take the name from here. Okay, so this is the extension name which I need to do. This extension is not present currently, so what I will do, I will be basically uh, writing like this. We'll copy this, okay, like this, like this. And guys, as I already told, if you do have any extension with name y-commerce web services or y-commerce web services test, you have to remove that extension. Definitely that extension entry will be there in your local extension.xml. So you have to remove those two extensions, y-commerce web services and y-commerce web services test. Right? So this is the thing, or this is the entry you have to do. Now, after doing this entry, what you have to do, you have to import this new extension into your code. How you will be doing, you will be just doing import and just clicking on existing project into the workspace. and over here you will be choosing this path bin custom, right? So I will give this path. I will go into Eclipse, right? So I will be basically choosing this. And this is how we can import our new extension. You can see now I have imported this new extension. So guys, once I import this Hybris Tube training commerce web service, now the next step will be like you can see in the next step we have to do to declare our new item type into this Hybris Tube training commerce web service item.xml. Let's see, it should be present into the resources folder. And if I just go into the resources folder, over here you can see we do have this items.xml file. Over here, I will be giving the or declaring my new item type, and I will be just writing over here my new item type. And guys, this is my new item type which I have created. So this is the item type code, Hybris to product store details, right? And over here I have declared the deployment table, right? So these all elements I have already explained in the videos related to items.xml. You can watch that video again if the concept is still not clear to you. But for now, I have just declared this item type, and over here I have declared these attribute. One attribute is the store ID, second attribute is the store name, and why I'm declaring this persistence type is equal to property so that once I will be running the system update, these attributes will get inserted into the database table name, this Hybris Tube product store details, right? So this is the third attribute, store city. Fourth attribute is store owner name. These are the four attributes I am going to declare in this new item type, Hybris Tube product store details, right? So this is the configuration we need to do, or this is the new item type we need to add, right? So guys, till now I have done this step. I have created this new item type. Now what I will be doing, I will be basically doing the end all. Why I am doing the end all? So that the corresponding model class will get generated. So that the corresponding model class gets generated. So that is why I will be doing the end all. As you can see, currently we don't have any corresponding model class. So what I will do, I will be going into command line and over here. And one step we need to take care of, we need to do entry into our local extension.xml. We need to do the entry of this extension as well, right? And if there is any other extension like y-commerce web service or y-commerce web service test, you need to remove those extension. Otherwise, this will throw an exception. Your end all command will throw an exception. So always you have to remove y-commerce web services or y-commerce web service test. If both extensions are present in this local extension.xml, you have to remove both extensions. So this is a must point you need to take care of, and this is already stated over here as well. Please remove all template extensions before you proceed, right? So now I have given the entry as well as I have removed y-commerce web service, y-commerce web service test extensions. So now what I will do, I will be doing end all. So I am firing this end all command. So this command will take some time, and once this command get finished, after that I will show you that a new model class will get generated, Hybris Tube product store detail model. So I have to refresh the platform extension and then a new model class will get generated. So let's wait for the end all command to get finished, then we will see the next steps. So guys, now you can see end all command has been finished successfully. Now what I will do, I will just try to search whether this new item type is present or not. Still it is not present. Then what I will do, I will just refresh the platform extension and then we will see whether this new model class gets generated or not. So I am just going to refresh the platform extension. This will take some time. You can see it is getting refreshed, and once this gets refreshed, after that I will just try to search this again. You can see now this model class has been generated. Right now, our next step is I will bring my server up and then we will perform the system update. So I am bringing my server up in the debug mode. So guys, now you can see my server is up and running. So I will open the HSC and will do the system update. So I will go to platform and then I will go to update. So once I land on the update tab, I will just unselect these two options and will keep the update running system as the only option. And then I will click on the update. So in this way, system update will be proceeded. And once the system update will get finished, I will show you that the new table will get created in the database. So let's wait for the system update to get finished. It will take some time to get finished. So guys, now you can see system update has been finished. Now we will see whether the new table has been created in the DB or not. So I will quickly go into the flexible search section over here and then I will just see whether the table has been created or not. This table has already been created and I have inserted the data into the table as well. I will give you the impacts as well to insert the data into this table. So you can see this table is now there and you can see it has a data as well in this table. Okay, so I can provide you this impacts as well. So impacts will be very simple. It is just like you have to write insert, update, right? So then this is the, I mean, item name, and then these are the attribute names. For example, the first attribute was store ID, so you have to give this as a attribute name over here. I will declare it as a unique, okay, and is equal to true. Right, I have already shown you how to create an impacts in the impacts video. You can check the video, link is given in the description box. And then the second attribute is store name, so I will add this as well. Okay, and then the third attribute is store city, so I will add this attribute. Okay, and the next attribute is store owner name. Okay, so this is the next attribute, store owner name. So I have added this as well. Then I will just fill the data. For example, I'm filling 1001. Store name is say a Hybris Tube, or I will say Amul. Okay, and then store city is say Zind, right? And store owner name is say Hybris Tube. Any type of data which you want to insert, but this is sample impacts you have to create. If you want to add more data, you can add like this 1002 Lakshya, something like this. Any data which you want to insert, right? So this is how you have to create an impacts for inserting the data. But for now, I have already inserted this data into this table, and you can see like this is the store ID 1001, 2, 3, and 4, and these are the names, these are the city, and this is the owner name, right? So I already have inserted this data into the DB. So guys, after the creation of the model class, now our next step will be, now we will be writing our the DAO IMPL. So you can see currently we have covered A point, we have also covered the second point,
we have created already created the new item in items.xml, right? And we have done the end all as well, and we have performed the system update as well, and new table has also been generated into the Hybris DB, right? Now I will be covering the C and D point. So what we will be doing, firstly, I will be creating this interface, Hybris Tube store DAO interface, and where I will be creating it, I will be creating it in the training core, right? And this should be the package name. So this is the package name which I newly have to create. So I will show you the training core extension. Okay, so you can see we do have training core. So this is my training core, and inside this I will go inside src folder. Over here I will be creating this package de hybris training core DAO. Okay, so you can see we do have de hybris training core, but we don't have .dao package. So I will be creating a new package uh, with this name. So what I will do, I will just right click over here, then I will just select the package, and then I will give the package name. Then I will just click on the finish button. So once I click on the finish button, you can see over here we do have new package got created. Over here I will be basically creating my interface. So I will be basically creating this interface, and you can see the name of the interface should be Hybris Tube Store DAO. So I'm going to create this interface. I will giving its name as Hybris Tube Store DAO, right? So this is the thing. You can see I have now created Hybris Tube Store DAO interface, right? So I will be basically over here declaring the name of API which I am going to create. And then this interface should look like this. You can see this is the, API definition, get Hybris Tube, store details by code, and I am taking the store ID as argument, right? So I'm just extending this DAO interface with the DAO class, right? And then I'm just, declaring API get Hybris Tube, store details by code. So now I have covered this point, C point. Right now I will be creating a IMPL class inside this package DE Hybris Training Core DAO IMPL. This is also the new package I have to create. Right, so I will again go over here and I will again create a new package. So I will be basically creating a new package like this. Okay, and then I will just click on the finish. And over here in this new package, what I will do, so now I'm creating a new class, IMPL class inside this package, right? So I will be just giving its name as Hybris Tube Store DAO IMPL, right? And then I will be implementing this IMPL with this Hybris Tube Store DAO interface. So I will just give its name as Hybris Tube Store DAO IMPL, as you can see, and then I will click on the finish button, right? And inside this IMPL, I will be basically this with implementing this with Hybris Tube Store DAO, right? Hybris Tube Store DAO, right? And then I will be basically overriding the unimplemented methods, and inside this over here I will be writing my query. Okay, so how it will look like? So guys, this IMPL class will look like this. You can see that I have created this Hybris Tube Store DAO IMPL, which is basically extending the abstract item DAO and implementing this Hybris Tube Store DAO. Okay, and over here I have just declare a variable, to log the any details. Okay, so and this is the query which I have created. Select Hybris Tube store detail model dot pk from this model, right, where store ID is this, right? So this is the query I have created, right? And this is the overridden API. And over here, I'm checking whether the store ID is null or not. If it is null, then I'm just throwing one exception. And over here, I'm just putting this store ID into the params. And over here, I am just firing a query using the get flexible search service dot search. You also have to do the similar steps. You just have to customize these steps as per your requirement, but you also need to follow the same steps in case you want to create a new OCC web service from the very scratch. Okay, so this is basically returning a list of Hybris Tube product store details model, right? This API is basically returning this, right? So guys, now we have covered the point number D as well. We have created this new IMPL. Now the next task will be we will be giving the entry of this newly created IMPL into the training core spring.xml. Okay, so where is this training core spring.xml? So this should be presented inside the resources folder only in the training core extension. So this is my resources folder, and over here I have training core spring.xml, and over here I will be giving the entry of the new IMPL bean which I have created, and this entry should look like this. So you can see I have now given the entry of our DAO IMPL. I have declared it as a bean, right? And this is the bean ID and this is the alias. So it will be identified through this alias only. So it means when I have to call this bean from somewhere else, I will be using this as a parameter to call this bean, right? So guys, this is what we have to do. So you can see till now we have covered this point E as well. Now what we will do, we will be creating a service in the training core only. So we will be basically creating a new package, DE Hybris training core service in the training core extension only. So I will be going back to the code, and over here we will be creating a service only inside this DE Hybris training core service. You can see we don't have any package with this name. So what I will do, I will create a new package and I will give its name as DE Hybris training core dot service. So I'm just selecting the package option and then I'm giving its name as DE Hybris Training Core Service. I will just click on the finish, and inside that I will be creating a new service class, and its name should be, yeah, you can see its name should be Hybris Tube Services, right? So I am giving its name. So how I will be doing, I will be firstly creating a new Java class inside this package by just right clicking and then going to new and then just going to the class, and over here I am just giving its name as this, and then I will just click on the finish button, right? So from the service class what I will do, I will be just calling this service IMPL. I will be basically creating calling this store DAO IMPL from the service. How I will be calling, I will be basically I mean using the same name which I had declared in my Spring XML file inside this. Like over here, we gave the name as Hybris Tube stored out. That is why the same name I will be using in my service class as well. Right, so the code will be like this. So guys, this will be the code. Right over here, what I have done, I have declared this DAO as a resource. So this is why I don't need to declare this DAO into as an injection into the spring.xml file where I will be declaring this Hybris Tube store services as bean. I don't need to inject separately. I have just have declared this as a at the rate resource over here only. That is why I can directly use this bean over here. right? So you can see over here, I'm just calling this DAO method, which I had created into the DAO IMPL, right? So this is how my service will look like. Now I will be declaring this service as a bean. So how I will be declaring this as a service as a bean? So again, I will go into training course spring.xml, and over here I will be, giving the mapping of my service. So guys, this is the bean declaration of my service. You can see I have just given bean ID is equal to Hybris Tube so store service, and this is the class path of my service, right? So in this way, I have declared my service as a bean. Guys, now we have covered the point 5 as well. We have created a new service and have declared that service as a bean in my spring.xml. Right now, what we will do, we will be going to the facades, and inside the facade, firstly, we will be creating a data object. How we will be creating a data object? This you should already know. We had covered this in converters and populators. To create a data object, we need to do an entry in our beans.xml. So if I go in training facade, I am going inside the training facade. So you can see I am going in training facade. So this is my training facade, right? Inside the resources folder, we do have this training facade beans.xml, right? Over here, I will be doing the entry of my data object. Like you can see over here, we do already have multiple entries for the data object. Like this is the gender data over here we have declared. So you must see like we do have a class with gender data as well. So you can see we do have a gender data.java as well. Similarly, we will be creating a bean for this as well, for Hybris Tube store data as well, right? So this entry will be like this: Hybris Tube store data. Over here, I have declared these four properties, these four attributes inside this Hybris Tube store data. So I will be just saving this, and after that I will be just doing int all so that the corresponding Hybris Tube store data object gets generated. Okay, so what I will do, I will just do the int all. Firstly, I will bring my server down. You can see I have brought my server down. Now I will do int all so that the corresponding data object or data class gets generated. So once the int all get finished, we will see we do have Hybris to store data.java class as well, right? So it will take some time to finish this int all command. And once this int all command gets finished, you will see that we do have a Hybris to store data.java, right? So we are currently waiting for this int all to get finished. After that, we will see whether this new bean gets generated or not. So guys, now you can see build is successful and all command is successful. So we will go back to our code and we will see whether a corresponding data.java class is generated or not. As you can see, still it is not generated. So what I will do, I will just refresh the platform folder, and I will just go into the platform folder and I will just refresh this. So I have just right clicked over platform extension and have just clicked on the refresh. So you can see now it is getting refreshed, and then we will see whether this Hybris Tube store data .java is generated or not. You can see it is now generated, right? So this is the thing. So you can see now we have covered till point number G, right? Now in the point H, what we have to do, we have to create a populator. So I have to create the populator again in training facade only, right? This is the Hybris Tube store populator that I am going to create, right? So what I will do, I will again go to my training facade. So this is my training facade inside the SRC. Over here, over here only I will be creating a new populator. So what I will do, I will just copy the class name which I have to create. Okay, so I will be creating this populator, which will be basically extending the populator, I mean out of box class, right? So you already know how to create a populator. I have already shown a video or creating a converter and populator, right? So what I will do, I will go into SRC. Over here I will be basically creating a new class like this, and I will give its name as this, and I will click on the finish button, right? Then I will be declaring as this as a populator, and you can see over here we have written like the source should be this and the target should be Hybris Tube store data. So this is what we have already given, and this code should be like this only. So you can see this is the populator which we have created. So you can see this is over here. I'm just setting, I'm extracting the store ID from the model class, and I am just filling the store ID into the data object. So this is what I am doing, right? So this is how we can create a populator. Now next step would be, you can see over here we have now declared the populator, right? And then what I will be doing inside the training facade only, I will be creating a facade IMPL, right? In that facade IMPL, what I will be doing, I will be basically creating the calling the service, and then I will be calling the converters to convert the model into the data. So firstly, I will be basically, I mean, creating this facade IMPL. So how I will be creating this facade IMPL? I have to create a new package, DE Hybris Training Facade, this Hybris Tube stores.impl. So you can see over here we have to create a new package inside the SRC only. So I will do what I will do, I will just right click over here and will go into package and will give the name of the package as like this, and I will click on the finish button, and then I will create a new class, and the class name should be this one. Okay, so I will just create a new class inside this package. Okay, new class, and I will give its name as this one, and I will just click on the finish button. So you can see new this facade IMPL has been created. This facade IMPL code should look like this. So if I can show you this facade IMPL, you can see this is how a facade IMPL will look like, right? So over here we will be firstly creating this facade interface as well, right? So I mean over here what we are doing, we have created this API. This will be overridden API. Once I will create this interface, this error will automatically go. But this is how I mean we will be creating this. So now I will be basically creating this facade interface. So how I will be creating this facade interface? I will be basically creating a new package, and over here I will just right click and will go on new, and then will go on the package and will give the package name, and inside it I will be basically creating this facade interface. How I will be creating a facade interface? I will just right click over here and then will go on new, and then I will click on the interface, and then I will give this name and will click over the finish. So you can see now this new facade interface has been created, and inside this new facade interface, what I will do, I will just declare this method. So I am just declaring this, and I will just put a semicolon over here, and you can see now my facade is ready, and this is my facade IMPL, and you can see now the error has automatically gone, right? So this is how you can do. So again, you have to create getters and setters as well. So I will be basically creating the getters and setters like this. So you can see I am creating getters and setters. And once I create the getters and setters, you can see this exception or this error is also gone, right? So this is how you have to create your facade IMPL, right? Now, what should be our next step? The next step should be like we have covered this point as well. Right now, what I have to do, we have to define this facade, newly created facade, this one, and I mean newly created populator, right? This one. We have to do, and we have to map our converter as well in facade spring.xml. So I will open the facade spring.xml, which is present in the resources folder, and this is my resources folder over here. I have my facade spring.xml, and over here you can see we already have multiple converters already defined. In the similar way, we will be defining our converter and our facade. And guys, this mapping will be something like this. You can see I have now defined the facade like this. You can see I have defined the facade. Inside it, I have injected the two beans, Hybris Tube store services, right? And second one is the converter. And this is the converter definition I have given. Inside this converter, what I have done, I have defined the alias as the store converter, and inside this converter I am declaring the parent as abstract populating converter, which you always have to declare if you are creating any converter. And then of course we have to define two properties as usual. One is the target class. Target is this one because I am converting model to data, and this is my data, which data class which I just generated in by giving entry into beans.xml file. And this is the populator Hybris Tube store populator, which also we have created. And this is the bean definition of the populator. I hope this is clear to you how we have defined this portion, right? After this, we are at the point number L. And in the point number L, what we will be doing, we will be basically defining the structure of Hybris Tube data WSDTO. As I told, we need to convert the data object into WSDTO object in the controller layer, and we will be returning or giving back to any native application or any mobile application. We will be giving the data in the form of WSDTO object only. We don't return the object in the form of data object, but we return the data in the form of WSDT object only. Okay, that is why we have to give this entry. So how we will be doing? We will be going into Hybris Tube training commerce web services bean.xml. It should be present in Hybris Tube training commerce web service extension, which we created at point number A. Okay, so I will open this file. So you can see this is the file, and in this file I mean doing all this entry which is written at point L. I will be defining the structure of Hybris Tube store data WSDTO, which all attributes should be present in this DTO object. Then I will be declaring a list, right? Its name should be a Hybris Tube stores data list WSDTO, and this list should be of type this object only. And what I will be doing, I will be declaring another list, data list, which will be of type Hybris Tube store data. So I will be doing these things, three things in facade spring.xml. Okay, so what I will be doing in the end, I will be doing these entries, and this is the what we have to add. You can see over here, I have declared the WSDTO object and have declared its attributes, store ID, store name, store city, and store owner name. And then what I have done, I have declared a list which is of type WSDTO object, right? So this is the second thing I have done. You also have to do same thing. You just have to do some minor customizations as per your requirement, but basically you have to follow the same steps. Then we are creating a list which is of type data object, right? This is a list which is of type WSDTO object. This is a list which is of type DTO. So these are the, three things which you need to do. I hope it is clear to you, right? Then what we have to do, we have to create a controller where we have to create a controller inside this Hybris Tube Training Commerce Web Services only. We will be basically creating a controller, and then what I will be doing, I will be extending this controller with this base commerce controller class, which is a out of box class. And then what we will do inside this controller, we will be injecting the facade. We will be calling the which we have just written in the facade. This method call will be, we will be doing this method call into this API get Hybris Tube store detail. Okay, so what we will do, we will be creating firstly a new controller right in the Hybris Tube training web service. I will just save this and then I will go into the controller section. Like over here, I am in the currently in WebSRC. In the WebSRC, in the V2 package, over here, we will be basically creating our new controller. So I will just right click over here and then I will just click over class and I will just give the class name as this Hybris Tube Store controller. And in this way, I have created this new controller. And over here, I will be just declaring this controller as a OCC web service. How I will be doing? Be just writing the code like this. So you can see over here, I have just written the code of the controller. What I have declared, I have firstly done the declare this as a at the rate controller. Then I have given the request mapping, which is base side ID. When I will be firing this, when I will be firing a REST URL, at that time I will be showing you why I have done this mapping. I have given this because now I am declaring this as OCC web service. That is why I am declaring this at the rate API. This is basically a Swagger API. We will be using the Swagger UI to access this OCC web service. And this is the, this OCC web service name, Hybris Tube Stores. When I will be opening the Swagger UI, don't worry about this term Swagger UI. It is basically a UI through which you can call any OCC web service, right? Either you can call from a mobile application or native application, but Hybris also provides a inbuilt UI through which you can make any OCC call. I will be showing you as well that how a Swagger UI looks like, but this is the API name, Hybris Tube Stores. So this is the API name of our newly created OCC web service, right? So this is the controller which is extending the base commerce controller, right? And then this is Hybris Tube Store facade, right? So it is throwing an error. I will tell you why it is throwing an error. And this is the security role which I have provided. I had already explained you we do have multiple type of groups. So this is I have now defined this as a role trusted client. So I am adding this web service in the group role trusted client. So it means if any user has a role trusted client access, group access, only that user can access this web service, right? As I had shown you, we do have multiple type of groups. If I can show you, you can see these all are the groups we do have. So I have chosen this group. So it means if a user has this group, only then he will be able to access my new OCC web service, right? So again, this is a request mapping store ID. So this is a method level mapping, right? Store ID. And then what I will do over here, I have just declared the API operation. You also have to do similar things, but you just have to customize this as per your requirement. But the same things, everything you have to write, like you have to do @authorization. This is the OAuth to client credential mechanism I am using, right, for the authorization. And this is my API get Hybris Tube store details, right? So this is the API I have now created, right? So now, I mean, inside this, what I have done, I am just fetching, creating a list, right? So this is the same list, data list, which we have just given the entry into our beans.xml file. Over here, you can see we have just done this data list, right? Mapping this one, Hybris Tube store data list, same mapping we have done over here. So once I will build this project, once I will be doing all, or this, I mean, corresponding .java file will automatically get created, right? So, and this is the mapper. This is the main thing. Over here, what I am doing, I am just converting list of the type data into a list of type WSDTO. So this is how you have to do the same thing, right? So firstly, what I will be doing, firstly, I will be commenting this, I mean, controller, because firstly, I have to do all to, I mean, generate this, I mean, corresponding classes, list.java classes, because if I simply do all over here, it will be basically throwing an exception. Firstly, I will be, I mean, commenting this. So you can see I have now commented out this class. Okay, I will be just saving this. Now what I will do, firstly, I will do a all, and once I do all, after that you will see we will have a corresponding Hybris Tube store data list dot Java, and similarly we do have this DTO.java as well. So I will be quickly firing the all command again. So guys, during the creation of OCC, you have to do all multiple times, but you have to follow the same steps which I am telling you. So this all command will take some time to finish. Let's wait for this command to get finished. After that, we will be basically refreshing the platform extension, and then we will see the corresponding .java, I mean, classes will also get created. Let's wait for the all to get finished. So guys, now you can see build is successful, and now what I will do, I will just go back to my code and I will just refresh the platform folder, and then I will see whether the corresponding DTO classes has been created or not. As you can see, it is still not created, but when I will just refresh the I mean, platform folder or platform extension, then you will see the corresponding files or Java files would have been created. Okay, so I'm just right clicking on the platform extension, and then I will just refresh this. So you can see it is getting refreshed, and once this refresh gets completed, after that we will be just searching for, and you can see we do have this list WSDTO has been created, right? So this is about like how I mean this happens. Right now, what you have to do, we are at the point number M. So we have to create a Hybris Tube store controller, which is basically extending base commerce controller, right? So we have already created this controller. I will be just uncommenting this controller, right? So that we can start using this. So you can see now I have uncommented this, I mean controller, and we do have only one exception here, which is it is not identifying the Hybris Tube store facade. So guys, there are two things. One is why we are getting this exception on Eclipse, how to resolve this. So for that, what you have to do, because this Hybris Tube store facade, this is present into the training facade extension. So I will just give an entry of training facade into the build path. So I will just go over here into the build path, configure build path. In the projects, I will add my extension, which is basically the training one. So this is the training one, training facade extension. So you can see this is the training facade. I will just click over OK, and then I will just select this. I will click over apply, apply and close. Once I do this, you can see now this exception is no longer there. But if you bring your server up again, this controller will not be able to identify this facade. Why it will not be able to identify the this facade? Because you have to do the entry of training facade extension info.xml as well. So for that, where is our extension info.xml? Over here, also you have to do the entry of training facade, like over here we have already shown. So you have to give this entry, otherwise this web service extension will not be able to identify the training facade extension, right? So this is, how you have to, give the entry of training facade. Now it will be able to identify, right? Now what I will be doing, I think I have now completed this M point as well. Now we do have only 2 points, N and P points. Here what I am doing, here we are defining the mapping of data to WSDTO, right? In the point number N. So how I will be defining the mapping of data to WSDTO? For that I will be going into data mapping v2 spring.xml file, where this file is present. As you can see, this file is present over here. I will go into this Hybris Tube Training Commerce Web Service extension 1, and I will just open it, and you can see over here we do have multiple mappers, and you can see what these mappers are doing. It is basically converting the data object into WSDTO. This is what this mapping is doing, and you can see over here in the end we are calling the same mappers only. So this mapping we have to do for our controller or our WSDTO and data as well. So that mapping will something look like this. See, we have created our mapper. Here I have given the data, data object, like over here we have given the data object. Similarly, I have given the WSDTO object. So this is how we give the mapping, right? And I hope you understand the purpose of this mapping, right? It is basically to convert the data to WSDTO, because we will be basically passing the WSDTO object only to a native application. Right, so now after this, we do have point number O. Over here, what we have to define? We have to define the, scope of, WSTO object, right? So, this we need to do in DTO level mapping v2 spring.xml file. And what I will be doing over here, because if you see Hybris Tube store controller, here I am defining the three allowable values: basic, default, and full. What this means, if I am passing the, from the front end, if I am saying I need a scope of basic, so now I will be defining, okay, if my scope is basic, then I will be basically returning these attributes of this WSDTO object, right? And then if my scope is default, I will be defining, okay, then I will be passing these attributes of WSDTO to a native application. So this is, basically we do. So I am defining which all attributes will be passed when I choose the basic, when I choose the default, and when I choose the full scope, that I need to, do the mapping into this Hybris Tube training commerce web service extension into this file, DTO level mapping v2 spring.xml file. Over here, you can see we do already have multiple type of, definitions. Like if my scope is basic, then I have to return these attributes. If my scope is default, then I have to return these attributes. Similarly, I will be basically giving the mapping for, uh, I mean, uh, my scope as well. And how I will be doing will be basically writing that mapping something like this. You can see bean parent is equal to field set level mapping ID is this is the ID which I am giving. You can give your own customized ID, and this is the DTO class I am passing over here, WSDTO. And what is the mapping or scope of this WSDTO? If I am passing this scope as basic from the native application or from Swagger UI, then I will be basically returning these attributes in response, right? These attributes in WSDTO. If I am passing the value as default, then again I am passing all these three, four attributes. I am passing all these four attributes into the. Now we have to do what we have to do. We just have to bring our server up, and I am bringing my server up into the debug mode. So I am bringing my server. Firstly, we will do all because we have done changes in controller as well. So I will do all first, then we will bring the server up in debug mode. So let's wait for this all to get finished. After that, we will bring our server up. So guys, now you can see all command has been finished successfully. So I will bring my server up in debug mode. I'm firing this command. So this will bring my server up in debug mode. So this will take some time. Let's wait for the server to come up, and then we will open the Swagger UI, and we will be trying to basically hit our newly created OCC web service. So basically the request should come into this controller. I will be adding some debug points over here. Then this request should go into the facade. So the request should go into this. I will be adding some debug point into the facade as well over here, and it is calling over here the converters. So from here the request is going to service. Okay, so over here as well I will be adding some debug points, right? So I have added a debug point over here as well, right? So from here the service we are calling basically the DAO. You can see this is the DAO, and over here we are basically firing the query to the database, and we are returning the results to the front end. So this is the basic flow. I have already added the debug points. So let's wait for the server to come up, then we will open the Swagger UI, and we will show you how a Swagger UI looks like and how we can fire a OCC web service call from a Swagger UI, right? So guys, now you can see my server is already up in the debug mode. Now what I will do, I have already created the OCC web service, and you can see like we do have this controller which is exposed as a OCC web service, and this controller have a detail like get has specific Hybris Tube store detail. Right now what we will do, we will be basically making a request to this OCC web service, right? How we can make a request to this OCC web service? We can either use a postman to make a sample request, or we can use the Swagger UI, or in real scenarios, we can use a mobile application which will be basically making a request to this OCC web service. Because it is a secured, I have given, a role like this. OCC web service will only be accessed by a user who is added into this role trusted client group, right? So firstly, I will be opening the Swagger UI, and then I will be hitting this. So Swagger UI always come integrated with Hybris Suite only. So if I can open the Swagger UI, this is the URL of Swagger UI. Over here, I have given the my custom extension name. Like this was the new extension which I had created, and then you have to use the same URL, right? You have to use URL like this only, right? So if your extension name is different, you can use your extension name over here. Otherwise, the URL will be same for you as well. So I'm just hitting this, and you will see that this is the Swagger UI. Which is getting loaded. It will take some time. It will be basically loading all the APIs which are exposed as OCC web service. You can see these all are the APIs which are exposed as a OCC web service. You can, I mean, see any or check any web service, like we do have multiple. We do have this orders OCC web service as well. I will be showing you these sections as well. But like this is the Hybris Tube store, right? This is the OCC web service which we had created, right? This is the OCC web service which we had created, right? This is the name Hybris Tube stores, and same name is there as well, right? So if I can just show you list operations, what it will tell, it will be telling me operations which are present in this OCC web service. Get a specific Hybris Tube store detail. So you can see this is the, I mean, notes, get a specific Hybris Tube store detail. This is the API, and this is the API we have created, right? So everything is getting fetched from here only. Like in the notes, we do have returns a specific store based on store ID, right? So all these things are over here. If I just expand, you can see these are the notes, returns a specific store based on the store ID, right? And these all are the, this is how, this service will be returning the response in the form of this format, right? We will be getting an object of type list WSDTO, right? Over here, you can see we have, declare the store ID as a mandatory attribute. If I can just show you this store ID required is equal to true, that is why this store ID is a mandatory attribute over here. You can just check whether you want a response in XML or in the JSON format. It is all up to you. But this is the store ID and this is the scope, right? Basic, default, and full, which we had given over here, and its mapping we had given in DTO level mapping v to spring.xml. Over here we had given this mapping, right? So you can see all these things are here. And so base site ID, now we will see what is this base site ID. For that I will just open the back office. It will take some time, but for now I will just explain all these things. So store ID, as you know, if I can just open the HAC, and if I can just show you like what all details we do have in our item type. If I can just show you the new item type which we had created, this is the new item type, right? And if I can just copy this, and if I can open the HC, right, in the console flexible search, okay, and you will see that this item type has this data, this four data, and these are the store IDs. So if I will just input this store ID, it should give me this name Amul store as a store name, store city, store owner name, all these details it should give me, right? So if I just try to input this detail like store ID is 1001, and field is basic, default and full. Now I have to give the base site ID, which I will be basically showing you in a while once the back office gets opened. So we are now logging into the back office. I will quickly open the base store, right? So I will be opening the base store, then we will see what all base stores we do have currently in our system. So you can see this is the base store. If I can just open this, I will have just double clicked over here, and we do have these two base store. And guys, this is the ID which we need to use. For example, if I open this April UK, right? If I am in the April UK base store, then over here at this section base site ID, I have to use this ID only. For example, I will be using this April UK, right? So I will just put the ID over here, right? And I think now I have entered all the details. But guys, just take care of this thing. Over here, you can see we made this, this OCC web service as a secured OCC, right? We use the tag @secured. It means only those users which have role this will be able to access this web service. That is why you can see over here it is asking me that firstly I have to do authorization, because if I'm not doing authorization and if I just directly click over try it out, you will see it will give a message that access is denied, right? Because I am not the right person to use this. So for that, what I have to do, I have to do authorization, right? If I click over here, it is asking me what type of authentication you want. Like I am giving basic auth, then I have to give my username and password, right? So firstly, what we will do, we will be firstly creating a user which has a group, role trusted client, right? So how we can do this? So for that we have to fire one impacts, right? So that we can create a user, like username is Hybris Tube, right? I will give this username and password as say again Hybris Tube, right? I will give this same username and same password. And for which role I'm going to create this user, I'm going to create this user for the role trusted client, right? So how this impacts will be looking like? So this impacts will look like this. You can see in this table, OAuth client detail table, I am updating the client ID, right? So client ID or username is Hybris Tube, and then this resource ID, it is always hybrid. Scope is basically my basic, right? That is why I will be able to use this username and password, because then again I will be basically selecting this scope as basic only, right? And then authorization grant types, what all type of authorizations have to give, I have mentioned this. Then this client secret I am again passing the hybrid tube, right? And this authorization grant type values are client credentials, password, refresh token. It means I can do all these operations if I have this access, right? And this is for which group I am adding this user Hybris Tube in which group, in the role trusted client. And our service or API is also a role trusted client OCC web service. That is why with this user I will be able to access my new OCC web service. So I will be just running this impacts. So how I will be running this impacts, I will be going into HSC and will be going into console impacts import, and then I will just load my impacts over here, right? So this is how we will be creating a new user, which is basically for the role trust client. So I will be firstly validating this and then will be importing this, right? So now you can see this script execution, script import process has started and this will take some time. I mean, you can create n number of users. Like I created one user, you can create n number of users so that n number of users can access this OCC web service as per your requirement, right? Now I have imported this, and once I import this over here in the system, right, in the system we do have a OAuth object over here. You will see we can see all these clients, like which all are the clients. You can see this is the new user which we have created, Hybris Tube, and this is of type role trusted client. We do have other clients as well, and these are the grant types which are basically tagged to these clients, right? But for now I have created this, so I will just authenticate this. I will just use client ID as Hybris Tube. Password is again Hybris Tube. Okay, password is again Hybris Tube, and then I will just click over authorize. Once I click over authorize, it is again loading the APIs, again loading all the OCC web service APIs which it has, and then will update the grant permissions accordingly. And you will see now again, once it refreshes the API, you will see now we no longer would have that red icon. So if I can show you like our Hybris 2 store controller, I will click on expand. You can see now we have this blue symbol over here. It means I can use this. So I will simply write electronic 1001 over here. I will keep this as a default base ID as I think it was, if I can just see again, it was apparel UK. Okay, so I will use this as a base ID. Okay, I will just copy this and will use over here, right? And I will just click over try it out. So once I click over here, you can see we are getting a response. We are getting a response, store ID 1001, store name is store owner name. I'm getting all these details, right? So this is ID, name, and owner name I am getting, right? So this is how it is behaving, right? I can show you this by debugging as well. I will just enable the debug and then I will show you how exactly this call is falling, right? So what I will do, I will just enable the debugging. Again, it will take some time, but we have to enable the debugging if we want to see our code in the debug mode. So guys, you can see now the debug points are enabled. So what we will do, we will be basically, firing this 1002, and when I click on, because we already have done authentication, when I click on try it out, you can see in the backend our controller, which we exposed as a OCC web service, right? So this API we have already exposed, and you can see now the call is coming over here, and you can see the store ID value is this. You can see this is 1002, and from here we are calling the facade. You can see we are calling the facade, and from the facade we are calling basically the service. You can see we are calling the service. Now from the service we will be basically calling DAO. So you can see we are basically calling the DAO, and this is the query which we are going to fire into the DB, right? So you can see, this is the query which we are going to fire, and it will give me a result. You can see this has given me a result, right? So you can see this has given us a result, and this result will, be returned back. I am currently in service, then I will be this will be returned to the facade layer. Over here we will have this model, it will be get converted into the into the data type, and we will be returning the same right to the controller, and you can see the same has been returned. From here, we are converting the data into the WSDTO, and the same, WSDTO object is returned back to the front-end API, and you can see now it has given us the response. So guys, I hope now it is clear to you how you can create a OCC web service, Hybris OCC web service from the very scratch. So these all are the points, or these all are the steps to create a OCC web service. You can choose your own, role trusted client or any other role which you want to use. But these are the basic steps of OCC web service, right? So I hope now you understand what is OCC web service, how to create OCC web service, and how to use an existing OCC web service, and how to call a OCC web service using the Swagger UI, right? We do have many other, OCC web service as well, like you can get order detail, right? If I just show you, you can get this order detail. It doesn't need any type of authorization. You just have to, mention the, order ID, and this field basically it is only this, and you over here you just have to mention the base store. For example, if I just give this April UK over here, right? And if I just give the code value, any order code value, if I just pick one order, right? So you will see then that we will be basically fetching the details for a corresponding order, right? So I'm just loading the orders tab, right? So we do have multiple orders. I will be just picking one order, right? So what I will do, I will just copy this order number and will paste this over here, and once I click on the, try it out, what it will do, it will be basically, calling one, web service from the backend. Okay, so what I will do now, I will just click on try it out, and once I click on the try it out, it will start giving the, response as well, right? So I will just disable the debug points. Firstly, I will disable these debug points, then we will go back to our UI, and you will see that it has given us the response corresponding to, this order, right? So I hope guys now you understand how a OCC web service work and how to create a OCC web service from the scratch. I hope this video was informative for you guys. If you like this video, do share this with your friends. Thank you for watching. Bye.